A nurse bathed a comatose millionaire. When he woke, something miraculous happened. A young nurse bathed a millionaire in a coma, but when he suddenly woke up, everything changed. The lights at Riverview Private Hospital buzzed softly as Riley Brooks walked down the spotless hall. She'd worked here almost 2 years, but today felt different from the moment she got the surprise call to see Dr. Bennett, head of neurology. A tight knot formed in her chest. Had she messed up? Was she being moved? She steadied her breath and knocked on the glossy door. "Come in," he said. Dr. Marcus Bennett stood by the window with his hands behind his back, eyes on the city skyline. The office smelled like antiseptic and new leather, and the air felt heavier than usual. "Riley," he said at last, turned to face her. His voice was calm but serious. "We have a patient who needs special care. This assignment isn't easy." "Not easy, how?" Riley asked, brows pinching. He nodded toward a thick file on his desk. "Logan Pierce," he said. Riley's breath hitched. Logan Pierce. Even if the name hadn't rung a bell, the black and white newspaper clipping on the folder told the story. A violent car crash a year ago. The youngest billionaire in the city. His sports car flew off a bridge at night, and he'd been in a coma ever since. Once the sharp, untouchable CEO of Pierce Industries at just 32, Logan was now a silent figure stuck inside his own body. His family rarely visits. Dr. Bennett went on. Most staff just do the basics. But Logan needs someone dedicated. Someone who will actually care. Riley bit her lip. "And you think that person is me?" He nodded. Duh. The job was huge. Caring for a man who might never open his eyes again. A man whose power once shaped the lives of thousands. But deep down, she already knew her answer. "I'll take it," she said. His mouth pressed into a thin line, but approval flickered in his eyes. "Good. Your shift starts tonight." The private suite on the top floor felt almost too quiet when Riley stepped in. Unlike the cold white rooms below, this space looked more like a luxury apartment. Dim chandelier, dark wood, and soft lighting. In the center lay Logan Pierce. Riley's breath caught. Even with tubes, wires, and machines doing the work his body could not. He looked striking, strong jaw, dark lashes against pale skin, broad shoulders beneath the hospital gown. If he weren't so still, he could have been sleeping, but this wasn't sleep. This was a long, unbroken silence. Riley swallowed and moved closer, checking his floor before lifting a warm cloth. She hesitated, then gently pressed it to his skin. A cold shiver trailed down her spine, a feeling she couldn't name, like he somehow knew she was there, buried deep and quiet of his mind. The heart monitor beeped softly, steady and even. She pushed off the odd feeling and kept working, carefully washing his arms and chest, keeping him clean and comfortable. "I guess you don't get a say in this, huh?" she murmured, almost teasing. The room stayed quiet. "I'll take that as a no." A small smile tugged at her lips. Days folded into a routine. Morning and evening, she bathed him, changed his sheets, tracked his vitals. Soon it wasn't just the care. She found herself talking to him, little things about her day and the world outside. "You should see the cafeteria food, Logan." "Even a billionaire would complain," she said once, shaking her head. "I don't know why I'm talking. Maybe I like hearing my own voice." Another pause. "Or maybe you're actually listening." The machine kept its calm rhythm, as if answering. Weeks passed. Riley got used to the quiet, the soft beep of the monitor, the hum of the floor. As she cleaned his face with fresh water, she said, "You know, I read that people in comas can still hear. So, technically, you're the worst listener I've ever had." She sighed. "It's fine. I talk to myself anyway." She moved to wipe along his jawline. Something shifted. She froze, eyes on his hand. Nothing. His fingers rested still on the white sheet. She let out a breathy laugh. "Great. Now I'm imagining things. Maybe I'm the one who needs a bed." But the feeling stuck with her, and a few days later, it happened again. She was fixing his pillow when she felt it, the faintest pressure on her wrist. Her head snapped down. His hand had moved only a fraction, but it was real. "Logan," she whispered before she could stop herself. The monitor kept its beat. She set her palm over his. feeling warmth and stillness and possibility. Nothing else. Was she dreaming? Or was something truly changing? She told Dr. Bennett. "He moved," he asked, one eyebrow raised. "I think so," Riley said. "At first I thought I imagined it, but it keeps happening. Tiny twitches, little shifts." He leaned back, thinking. "We'll run tests," he said at last. "But don't get your hopes up. It could be reflex." Riley nodded, but she didn't believe that. She felt something waking. When the results came in, she wasn't surprised. "There's increased brain activity," Dr. Bennett said. "Stronger responses than before." Riley's heart leaped. "So he's waking up?" The doctor hesitated. "Not necessarily. It could mean many things. But it's a good sign." It wasn't the clear answer she wanted, but it was enough. That night, she sat by his bed longer than usual. "I don't know if you can hear me," she said softly, "but I think you can." She looked at his still face, the strong lines, the unmoving lashes. And for the first time, she didn't feel alone. She talked about everything. The rude doctor on the third floor who always stole her coffee. The small town where she'd grown up. The goal she'd had since she was a kid to become a nurse. She didn't know that deep inside the quiet, Logan was listening. Morning sun poured through the tall windows, laying warm light across his still form. The monitor kept a steady pace, just as it had for a year. Riley rolled up her sleeves. Another bath. Another day of talking to someone who might never answer. She dipped the cloth, wrung it out, and began wiping his chest with careful, practiced motions. "You know, Logan," she smiled, "I'm thinking about getting a dog. I need someone who will actually react when I talk." Silence. She sighed. "Okay, Rude. I'm trying here." She ran the cloth along his arm, fingers brushing his wrist. His fingers tightened around her. Riley froze, breath stuck in her throat. The pressure was light, weak, unsure, but real. "Oh my God!" Her heart hammered, so hard she could hear it. She wanted to tell herself it was just another reflex, another trick of nerves. But then Logan's eyes opened. For a second, Riley couldn't move. She had spent months watching those closed lids, waiting for any sign. Now, deep blue eyes stared back, confused, unfocused, scared, but alive. His lips parted. The sound was dry, rough from disuse, but it was a voice. "Water," he rasped. Riley's knees went weak. He spoke. He woke up. The metal basin slipped from her hand and clattered on the floor, water splashing over her shoes. She hit the emergency button. The alarm screamed. The door burst open, and a wave of nurses and doctors filled the room. Dr. Bennett at the lead. "What happened?" he asked, checking vitals before the question had fully left his mouth. "He grabbed my hand," Riley said, voice shaking. He opened his eyes. He spoke. Logan's chest rose and fell in jagged breaths. His eyes darted around, trying to piece together where he was and why. He wasn't fully aware yet, but he was there. "Neurology team now," Dr. Bennett ordered. The room swarmed. Lights flashed in his eyes. They asked simple questions. They checked reflexes. Through all of it, Logan kept looking back at Riley. She stepped closer, swallowing. "Logan," she whispered, "do you remember anything?" He blinked slowly, a long pause stretching between them. His fingers moved again. This time, he reached for her hand on purpose. Weak, slow, but sure, his palm closed around hers. The grip was fragile but certain, like he had always known her. Dr. Bennett glanced up. "Logan, do you know who she is?" He frowned, eyes never leaving Riley. "I don't know," he said, voice rough. "But it feels like I should." A chill ran down Riley's spine. He didn't recognize her, but something inside him did. The days after his awakening were a blur of tests, therapy, and questions. The medical team was stunned. Physically, he was frail but improving. A year in bed had stiffened his muscles, but rehab slowly brought strength back. His mind was trickier. "Let's try again," Dr. Bennett said during one session. "What's the last thing you remember?" Logan rubbed his temples. I don't know. Where you were, what you were doing." He let out a sharp breath. "I told you it's only pieces. Flashes. Tell me about them," the doctor said. Logan closed his eyes. "I remember a feeling," he said slowly, "like something was wrong, like I was in danger." Riley, listening from the side, went still. There was a road, headlights, and then nothing. "It's common to block trauma," Dr. Bennett said gently. "Memories may return over time. For now, focus on healing." Logan nodded, but Riley could see the tight line in his jaw. Something felt off to her, too. That night, she went to the hospital archives. She had read the file before, but this time she combed every page. There, buried in the accident report from the reconstruction team, the brakes had failed. Not worn down, not random, tampered with. Her skin prickled. This wasn't a tragic mistake. Someone had wanted him dead, and he didn't know it. She closed the folder with shaking hands. He needed to hear this. If someone tried once, they could try again. Logan's recovery sped up. Within weeks, he went from bedbound to sitting up, feeding himself, and speaking clearly. Physical therapy was hard. He wanted to quit more than once. Riley refused to let him. "I can't do this," he muttered, knuckles white on the parallel bars. "Yes, you can," she said firmly at his side. "Look how far you've come. Don't stop now." He looked at her, breathing heavy, and saw that she meant every word. That gave him strength. He took another step. Riley's face lit up. "That's it." For the first time since waking, Logan smiled. A real one. He felt alive. And he knew who to thank. Riley didn't treat him like a trophy patient or a checkbook. She didn't see the billionaire trapped in a bed. She saw him as Logan. He found himself reaching for her presence. When she spoke, the weight in his head lifted. When she steadied his arm, a spark ran under his skin he couldn't explain. After a long therapy day, Riley suggested fresh air. "Let's visit the garden," she said. "It'll help." He agreed, and the world felt new outside those walls. Cool night breeze, leaves rustling, the moon like a soft lamp over the paths. For the first time, he felt like a person again, not a case file. They walked slowly, Riley's hand resting lightly on his arm. At first, he thought it was just for support. Then he noticed the small things, how her fingers lingered at his wrist, how she glanced at him when she thought he wasn't looking, how her breath hitched when he stepped close. She felt it too, the quiet pull between them. They stopped by a stone bench. Moonlight drew soft shadows. Logan turned to her, heart beating for a new reason. Riley opened her mouth to speak, but he gently took her hand first. Her eyes widened. "I don't remember my old life," he said, voice low and true, "but I know one thing." She swallowed. "What?" "I trust you," he said. Simple words, but they meant everything. She didn't pull away. Her cheeks warmed in the pale light, and her breath came unsteady. She understood. For now, that was enough. Sleep didn't come easy that night. Logan, tossed, his body tired, but his mind racing. Then, like a dam breaking, a picture crashed in. The road was slick with rain. Wipers thumped fast. He gripped the wheel. Something felt wrong. Headlights, too close, too bright. A black SUV swerved into his lane. He yanked the wheel. Tires skidded. He hit the brakes. Nothing. Panic shot through him. Just before the impact, his eyes flicked toward the shoulder. A figure stood there, watching. Then darkness. He woke with a gasp, chest heaving, skin damp with sweat. The memory was sharp, like it had just happened. This hadn't been chance. Someone had meant for him to die. Riley saw it the minute she walked in the next morning. His jaw was tight. His hands were clenched. "Logan, what's wrong?" she asked gently. His blue eyes locked on her. "I remember something," he said. Her stomach dropped. "The accident?" He gave a short nod. "It wasn't an accident. Someone messed with my brakes. And there was a man on the side of the road, just watching." The chill Riley had felt in the archives surged back. Her suspicion had been right. Now they had to find who and why. They spent the next few days digging through company files and old records. They looked for anything that showed motive or money. Finally, they found it. A large transfer days before the crash. The receiver was a criminal known for stage collisions. The sender, Evan Pierce, Logan's half-brother. The truth hit like a punch. It was him, Logan said, gripping the table. Evan had always resented him. The favorite son, the heir, the one who got the legacy. Now he had tried to erase him completely. Riley's chest tightened. Logan, he wanted you gone. Logan's eyes hardened. Then he'll face what he did. They set up a meeting at the Pierce estate, in a dark study lined with books. Evan lounged in a leather chair, swirling a glass. Well, well, he smirked. The dead man walks. Why? Logan asked, fury tight in his voice. You already know, Evan said. Riley stepped forward. You tried to kill your own brother for money? For status? The smirk slipped. For everything that should have been mine, he snapped. You were always a golden boy. I was done waiting. Logan's hands curled. So you paid someone to ruin my car. Evan let out a cold laugh. I didn't think you'd survive. But hey, miracles. Riley's anger burned, but before she could speak, the door opened. 2 officers stepped in. Evan Pierce, one said. You're under arrest for attempted murder. Evan spun to Logan, panic breaking through. You set me up. Logan shook his head. No, you set yourself up. They cuffed Evan and let him out as he yelled empty threats. The door slammed. Silence fell. Logan exhaled, shoulders finally easing. It was over. Justice had started its work. He was free. The Pierce estate always looked grand, even a little cold. Big halls, heavy art, and old money. That night, as Riley stepped into the dining room, it felt different, softer, warmer. Candlelight glowed across a small table by the tall windows. Fresh roses scented the air. A bottle waited in a bucket of ice beside 2 plates. Riley stopped, surprised. Logan, what is all this? He stood behind her, hands in his pockets, eyes softer than she'd ever seen. Dinner, he said. Just us. Her chest tightened. The last few weeks had been a storm. His recovery, the hidden truth, the arrest. Now the noise was gone, and only this moment remained. Somehow, that felt even more powerful. As they sat, she noticed the way he watched her, like he was trying to memorize her face. You're quiet, she teased. That's not like you. He let out a breath, rolling the glass between his fingers. I've been thinking. Dangerous, she joked, but he didn't smile. He leaned forward, gaze steady. Do you know how many people walked away when I was in that coma? He asked. She didn't answer. She already knew. Family who treated him like a problem. Friends who drifted off. He survived because someone stayed. Because she did. But you didn't leave, he said. You were there when I couldn't even open my eyes. When I was a lost cause to everyone else, you wouldn't give up. Riley's throat tightened. She hadn't done it for praise. She did it because it was right. But to him, it meant everything. I have everything, Logan said softly. Money, power, influence. None of it matters without you. Riley's breath hitched. Logan, let me finish. He slid his hand over hers, thumb tracing slow circles that sent calm through her. I don't know how it started. I don't know when. I only know that while I was trapped in the dark, you were the one holding a light. You kept me here. He swallowed. Riley, I love you. The words struck hard, not because she hadn't felt the same, but because hearing them from him made it real. Logan Pierce, the man who used to live on deals and numbers, was now open and honest, and he was giving his heart to her. Tears filled her eyes. You have no idea what that means, she whispered. He reached across and brushed away a tear with his thumb. Then let me show you, he said, leaning in until their foreheads touched. Riley closed her eyes. This wasn't an ending. It was a first step into something new. Months passed. Logan's strength returned through long hours of rehab and training. The weakness was gone. The man who nearly died had fought his way back. He returned to Pierce Industries, standing in the boardroom like he owned the ground under his feet, because he did. But he wasn't the same as before. This time he wasn't alone. This time, Riley stood with him. And if she said yes, she'd stand with him forever. The rooftop of the estate glowed in the warm light of sunset. The city spread out in gold and orange. Riley stood at the edge, taking in the view. It's beautiful up here, she said. The breeze toyed with her hair. Logan smiled. Not as beautiful as you. She rolled her eyes. Smooth, Pierce. But her teasing faded when she saw his face. He looked different, certain, grounded, decided. Before she could ask what was wrong, he took a slow breath and dropped to one knee. Riley's hands flew to her mouth. Logan opened a small velvet box. The ring inside was simple and stunning, a clear diamond on a slender platinum band. But it wasn't the ring that stole her breath. It was him, and the way his voice shook slightly as he spoke. Riley, you can just save my life. You became my life, he said. Before you, I had everything. But I was missing something. I was missing you. You're why I fought to live. You're why I found myself again. I want to spend the rest of my days showing you what you mean to me. He held out the ring. Riley Brooks, will you marry me? The world went quiet. She nodded before she could even speak, laughing and crying all at once. Yes, she managed, voice breaking. Yes, Logan. 1,000 times, yes. Relief shone in his eyes as he slid the ring onto her finger and pulled her close. Their lips met under the fading light, and Riley knew she had found home. The estate had never looked more magical than on their wedding day. The gardens turned into a dream, white roses along the paths, twinkling lights in the oaks, soft music floating in the air. Guests watched in awe. Riley waited at the entrance in an elegant gown, heart racing. Ready? Her maid of honor, Maya, whispered. Riley took a long breath and looked up. There he was. Logan stood at the altar in a classic tux, watching her like she was the only person in the world. Every fear melted. She walked down the aisle certain and calm. At the altar, Logan took her hands, eyes bright. They spoke their vows, promises built on struggle, honesty, and devotion. I now pronounce you husband and wife, the officiant said. Cheers rose as Logan cupped her face and kissed her, warm and sure. Riley knew this wasn't the end of a tale. It was a chapter that made all the others make sense. As the sun slipped low, they slipped away from the crowd, hand in hand through the roses, soaking in their new life. No more hospital rooms. No more lonely nights. No more pain hanging over them. Just them. Always. Logan squeezed her fingers. You know, he murmured, I used to think I had everything. Riley rested her head on his shoulder. And now... He looked down with a soft smile that reached his eyes. Now I know none of that mattered. You are the best thing that ever happened to me. Tears pricked her eyes again, but she smiled. They had walked through storms and shadows and a near-death night. Love had won. With Logan by her side, Riley knew she was exactly where she belonged. Their story didn't become famous because of a fortune or company. It mattered because of one simple truth. Love is more than finding someone. It's choosing them. Staying when it's hard. Standing close when others step back. Riley didn't give up on Logan when everyone else did. In the end, what saved him wasn't money or power. It was the steady care of someone who refused to walk away. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe to Heartline Stories for more touching, inspiring tales. Turn on notifications so you never miss a story that tugs at your heart. Thank you for watching, and remember, the most beautiful love stories often start in the most unexpected ways. See you in the next one.